Hey, beautiful. Welcome back to Dr. Sarah's Cafe. If you watched the weekly refill that I just published ahead of this one, I made it shorter to keep it under 15 minutes. And so the usual pastry and poetry segment is going to be in its separate video, in its own video, at least for this week until I can start posting longer videos on this channel. So this week's pastry and poetry comes from the one and only Audre Lorde from her book, Sister Outsider. And specifically, it is the essay, Poetry is Not a Luxury. So I have the book here, Audre Lorde's Sister Outsider. This is a book that was introduced to me in grad school. Unfortunately, it wasn't introduced to me any sooner than that, but better late than never, right? And so I have this quote here. I chose this picture of Audre Lorde. Women are powerful and dangerous because in the weekly refill, I talked about Pluto retrograde, and how it's all about power. And the divinity message, the crow card, was all about power to create from the darkness, right? So going to the dark to tap into our power to manifest and create. And so just so happens that I wanted to pull this Audre Lorde text simply because it has been so meaningful and so important in my life and my work. The whole book, the collection of essays, particularly a few bookmarked essays, which you can see here a little bit in the light. There are at least 3 essays, or a little bit more than that, which I have referred to over and over and over again over the years. And the first one, Poetry is Not a Luxury, I thought it would be a great place to start to kick off this new YouTube channel of Dr. Sarah's Cafe, to continue building out this vision, this dream that I have. One, you'll see once I get into the content why, and then how that relates so well to the weekly refill that I just posted. So you can go back and watch that. At the end of this video, it should pop up on the screen as the recommended next video to watch if you haven't already seen it. And so I have some slides here that you can use to follow along with me as I read. Okay, so let's start. The first quote, a passage that I want to focus on, and I actually can read it from the screen, but I'll also read it from the book. The quality of light by which we scrutinize our lives has direct bearing upon the product which we live and upon the changes we hope to bring about through those lives. It is within this light that we form those ideas by which we pursue our magic and make it realized. This is poetry as illumination, for it is through poetry that we give name to those ideas, which are until the poem, nameless and formless, about to be birthed, but already felt. Let me tell y'all, this is why. This is why I love this book, why I love these essays, why I'm such a fan of Audre Lorde's work and the way she tried to live a life that was aligned with her concepts, her thoughts, her ideas, and her words. But you already see in this first passage why, coincidentally, I knew I wanted this, but I didn't remember the details. I didn't remember the specific language that would be in this essay when I opened up to this page, this bookmark page. And I was like, the synchronicity of it being in alignment with the theme, the flavor of the week for the weekly refill, power to create and manifest through the darkness, right? It's just so on point. But as you can see, I've highlighted one, we pursue our magic and make it realize. Magic meaning your ability to create something, whether you just create a laugh for someone by telling a funny joke or a funny story, whether you create a home cooked meal, whether you create something like more physical, like a building or a book or something like that. Everyone, it has creative power, even if you don't identify as a creative person. And then also what stands out to me in this paragraph is about to be birthed, but already felt. And I underline this because of where I am in my own life. Very personally, this resonates with me in terms of knowing that I'm turning a corner. There's a change coming. There is something about to be birthed, and I haven't named it yet. I can't see it yet. I don't know the outline, specific roadmap or what blueprint of what it ultimately is going to be, but I can already feel it, you know? So the next piece that I want to look at is, as we learn to bear the intimacy of scrutiny and to flourish within it, as we learn to use the products of that scrutiny for power within our living. Those fears which rule our lives and form our silences begin to lose their control over us. This to me is so powerful. And again, I mentioned how there's so much stigma around how we show up in the world if we are identify as women, but we are assertive or ambitious, or if we don't fit those social scripts, if we don't fit into that small, tiny box that society has told us we have to be in order to be worthy or valuable. There's so much fear around that, so much shame around that. And I love one of the things I really, really love most about Audre Lorde's work is that she speaks to that fear. She doesn't say, oh, well, you just shouldn't be scared. Just never be scared. She acknowledges what fear is, why it's there, the role, the impact it has. And she talks about the journey, the process of not being held captive to those fears, right? And so again, there's power within our living. And so often we dismiss our power or don't recognize it or acknowledge it, the powerful moments, the power in just being alive. There's so much power there. But then I love that part about sitting with that, owning that. Then whatever fears we have, whatever the source of those fears we have, they start to lose their grip on us. We start to be able to break free from those things. Okay, the next excerpt or passage I want to read, I love this one. These places of possibility within ourselves, which is why I titled this video that. The places of possibility within ourselves are dark because they are ancient and hidden. They have survived and grown strong through that darkness. The woman's place of power within each of us is neither white nor surface. It is dark. It is ancient. It is deep. That Pluto energy is all up and through and around these passages in this text. And also, interestingly enough, doing this in a video by itself, I was able to like stretch it out and elongate this segment and not just read it for you all, but actually like discuss and pull out the parts that feel particularly powerful and relevant to the refill and the flavor of the week. But places of possibility within ourselves, I could just meditate on that phrase for days. Okay. Place of power. What are places of power? What are places of power within us? What are the places of power in our communities, in our families, in our society? And she says it is dark, it is ancient, it is deep. And Pluto is that courage, right? Those places within ourselves, those places in our psyche and our consciousness that we're afraid to go to. That's exactly where the power is, you know? All right, there's more. There is so much more. I just pulled out a few, though, a few highlighted passages. So this one says, poetry is not only dream and vision, it is the skeleton architecture of our lives. It lays the foundations for a future of change, a bridge across our fears of what has never been before. Getting goosebumps. I always get goosebumps in these pastry and poetry segments. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. Dream and vision. And I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. Maybe it's not, but the power to dream and a vision for something. But that last piece, a bridge across our fears of what has never been before. And I'm thinking a lot about the versions of us, the versions of ourselves that have never been before, the versions of our family, our society, our community that have never been before. And some of those versions, we're already on the precipice of them. We're already at the threshold of stepping into those versions, those evolved, evolutionary states of being and existence and a consciousness. But we haven't experienced them just yet. We haven't witnessed them or observed them in our reality just yet, but they exist. And a lot of times the chasm that's keeping us from stepping into those realities, from stepping into those versions of us in our lives is fear. And so according to Audre Lorde, poetry And I think many other things as well. Art, creativity, love, community can help us bridge those fears so that we can eventually realize other versions of us that we desire. We might not understand where that desire is coming from. Why do I have a desire to go here, to do this, to meet these people? There are versions of us, versions of our lives that are asking to be birthed. Should we dare to have the courage to cross those chasms of fear? And let's look at this one. This one, I'm so excited about this one. I'm just geeking out about all of this, y'all. So if you're watching this, kudos to you, because the advice on YouTube is to look at what your audience wants and give it to them. And I was like, can't say that I can name exactly what the audience wants, but I know I want to talk about this stuff and I find a lot of value in it. And so I'm just going to trust that there are a few other people at least on the planet who might also vibe with this stuff. So I appreciate you if you are one of those people. I love you so much. Okay. So this one says, the Black mother within each of us, the poet, whispers in our dreams. I feel, therefore I can be free. Poetry coins the language to express and charter this revolutionary demand, the implementation of that freedom. The implementation of that freedom. I think about this all the time when talking about the way I live my life, the decisions I make sometimes, and the sacrifices that were made before me by my ancestors so that I could have the level of freedom that I have. And I always think, what a disservice, what a poor steward of that freedom I would be if I let fear control my life, if I did not act on my true, authentic desires, and if I did not actualize or manifest the true calling that I feel on my life. What a poor steward of my freedom I would be. So when we think about fighting for freedom, so many of the people who I'm in community with and who are drawn to my work, especially if you found me through or by way of colorism healing, we fight for freedom, we fight for freedom, we fight for freedom. And so we also must meditate on to what ends, for what purpose, what do we do with freedom? What is our vision of that freedom? We get the freedom. Let's create a vision for what we will implement with that freedom. Okay, so that is what I have for you all, my dears, for the pastry and poetry segment for the week. I think I can now verify this channel. Kudos, like I'm so excited about that. Just in the first week. So it'll be maybe 24 hours before I can start to upload videos longer than 15 minutes, do custom YouTube thumbnails and all that. So again, thank you for being here from the beginning. For those of you with a brand new channel, brand new platform, brand new message, sort of brand new. It's really all been me the whole time, but just opening up and sharing more of what goes on inside this little head of mine. And yeah, let me know in the chat if you watched to the end. Drop a little coffee cup. Drop a little coffee cup emoji to let me know that you are here and feeling inspired and helping to co-create this space with me, this new cafe. And yeah, let me know how it resonates. Take care. Much love.